You have a D&D session in. Oh my gosh, they're gonna be here any second. Quick, you need a puzzle to throw into your session. And maybe if you make a prop, your players will think that you put some forethought into it and that you're not just flying by the seat of your pants every session and that you actually definitely know what you're doing and you are a good DM despite what the voices in your head say.
Who is that? It's me, the new Jan Brady. Let's knock over a 7-Eleven.
Well, fear not, my self-doubting friend. I was once like you. And I still am. I have not one, but 5 quick puzzle props that you can prep extremely last minute and trick your players into thinking you're a professional. And if you really crit the bed on your prep and you didn't even put together a combat encounter, then I've got you covered with a secret 6th puzzle, which is my favorite kind of puzzle, a tricky monster. Thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Improved Initiative. Welcome to the table. I'm Kelly, and I'm gonna get you out of this jam. That'd be great, thanks. Alright, let's get into the puzzle props. Remember these? Well, they're an easy to make and nostalgic puzzle prop. These are fortune tellers, or sometimes called cootie catchers. I'm still not clear as to whether you catch cooties by getting your fortune told, or if the device itself catches and contains the cooties. If someone could clarify the lore for me, that would be great. I just want to make sure I fully understand the mechanics before I answer any of your questions, you witch. Needless to say, no one in elementary school wanted to give and or receive my cooties. So, how does this puzzle work? Well, first you fold up some paper into a fortune teller. There's an Instructables, don't worry. Next, we need to add compass directions on the fortune teller, draw a black line north to south, draw some colors, and add numbers on the inside. We're gonna deviate from the standard cootie catcher a little here by repeating the numbers 1 to 4, otherwise choosing the first number is completely pointless. Now write your answers under the flaps. There are 8 possible answers. Depending on how involved you want this puzzle to be, you have a few options. The simplest is to just write 7 wrong answers and 1 right answer. So maybe one is the king is the BBEG, one just says your mom.
My mom! Get out!
You get the idea. The correct answer says the password is password. Then you give your players the fortune teller and a clue. The clue would be structured like this. Break the black seal at the first. When west points north and the sky at night is to the sailor's delight, the tentacles of the illithid shall take you away. And there you will find the one and only truth. Now, if you're thinking, Kelly, I said I was in a rush, I don't have time to figure out where everything goes so it matches up properly. Well, I made a printable template and it's available at the I Appreciate You tier on my Patreon, which is linked down below. There are also some micro settings, some adventures, other printable files, and a bunch of other stuff. Now, for the 1 to 2 people out there who just watched that and thought, well, that would be way too easy for my group, I have a couple ways you can layer this to make it more of a puzzle for your table of Alan Turings. And for the rest of you who thought my table consists of a bunch of cats who can't sit through a TikTok, they wouldn't stand a chance with that, well, I've got just the puzzle for you coming up next, involving, ooh, string. Look at the string.
Huh?
Well, didn't I tell you? Isn't it great?
The first way to layer this puzzle is to have the real answer hidden by a Caesar cipher. The fortune teller gives the players the key to the cipher. Put a single letter behind each of the fortune teller options, then give the players 2 fortune teller clues with an equal sign in the middle. So if they solve it, it'll give them C equals G, for example, which will allow them to solve the Caesar cipher. The other way to make this more complicated is to make the fortune teller clue require the players to investigate in the game world. Instead of saying the sky at night is to the sailor's delight, the clue could be the light from the Lady Teller's ring shines upon the parchment. Now the PCs have to go and visit Lady Teller to find out what color her ring is. Before I show you how to make an invisible ink puzzle with a few items from your kitchen and a fun puzzle inspired by Game Changer, let's make your kitties purr. And by kitties I mean players, and by purr I mean have a good time.
Yeah, baby!
This puzzle is a door code puzzle, and the pin is the length of colored string in grid squares. The setup is this. The PCs enter a room with a large grid on the floor. There are 3 pieces of colored rope lying around the room, red, green, and blue. On the other side of the room is a large door with 3 number rollers, like a large combination lock. Above each number roller is a symbol carved into the stone. Above the first is fire, above the second is water, and above the third is a leaf. You can use any battle grid you have laying around, and you just cut a length of red string, blue string, and green string. If all you have is boring white string, yarn. Then you can color it in with a marker. If you cut the red string to 3 inches, the blue string to 7 inches, and the green string to 5 inches, the code would be 375. I would also add a consequence for entering a wrong number, like for every wrong number entered, an elemental spawns of that type. Do you want to make an invisible ink puzzle, but you don't have a blacklight or UV ink? Well, that's too bad. I guess you're gonna have to make a different kind of puzzle then. Oh wait, do you have baking soda, rubbing alcohol, and turmeric? Just mix a tablespoon of baking soda and water. Then use a cotton swab or paintbrush to write your secret message. When it's time to do the reveal, mix half a teaspoon of turmeric and a quarter cup of rubbing alcohol. Now have your players paint the solution onto the page and watch the secret message be revealed. Before I show the P puzzle from Game Changer and a clever puzzle that one of you sent me by email, I want to show you my favorite type of puzzle, a monster. And I want to show you how you can get this puzzle monster stat block for free thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Improved Initiative. The puzzle element of combat was more prevalent in previous versions of D&D when there were vulnerabilities as well as more monsters with resistances and immunities. Of course, you can fight any monster by just pummeling it, but I find it much more interesting to figure out the optimal way to fight it. So I decided to make a monster for D&D 2024 that really rewards you for uncovering its secrets. The downside of having a more interesting monster is that they're often more challenging to run, but complex stat blocks can be made much easier to run and track using Improved Initiative. This is the Weave Gnarl. A disturbance in the weave has gained sentience. Whether it's a natural phenomenon or it was created maliciously, it's up to your PCs to deal with it. The Weave Gnarl gains resistance to a type of damage after it's hit with that damage. To track this, we'll be making use of the tags feature in Improved Initiative. In case you haven't heard of Improved Initiative, it's a free tool that you can use to make your D&D combat much easier to run. You can track monster and PC hit points, as well as instantly roll attacks and damage. It comes with all the SRD monsters automatically, but you can easily add your own one at a time or as a bulk import. And thanks to a new feature that Evan from Improved Initiative made, you can add this monster to a combat in just one click using the link in the description. As I mentioned, for this monster we'll be using the tags feature to track the resistances. Each time the Gnarl is hit with an attack, narrate the damage, and then narrate the Gnarl adapting. For example, after being hit with fire damage, you could narrate the Gnarl getting hurt, but then gaining a protective fire barrier. On its turn, the Gnarl makes an attack for each of its resistances. In other words, each damage type that the Gnarl is damaged with gives it another attack on its turn. All of the attacks are listed here in alphabetical order by damage type, and you can just click the attack and damage rolls to instantly resolve the attacks. If the Gnarl doesn't take or deal any damage for a round, its resistances and attacks reset, and it regains 1d12 hit points. If you want to grab this monster for free, or make combat way easier to run, head to the links down in the description. Thank you so much to Improved Initiative for sponsoring this video. Alright, before we get to the clever puzzle that one of you sent me, I want to show you my P puzzle inspired by Game Changer.
That's what she said?
It's not funny. I'm a mature adult, and I don't think P puzzle is funny.
It's funny because it's the word P.
This puzzle from a recent episode of Game Changer consisted of Sam receiving a note that was just a bunch of P's in different fonts. To solve it, he had to type the message on a typewriter where the keyboard was all P's in different fonts. He had to match the font on the note to the font on the keyboard. You can easily replicate this by creating a rubric and then encoding your own message. Open a document and type each letter of the alphabet on a separate line, and then choose a letter, like P for example. Then change the font for each P to something that looks distinct. Now just type out your message and then substitute each letter with copy-paste to encode your message. Make sure you include some 1 or 2 letter words in your message, otherwise it'll be difficult to solve. If you want to make it easier, just give the players some vowels from the key. Now print your encrypted message on some old parchment looking paper and you have a great puzzle prop. If your players aren't into solving ciphers, you can hide pieces of the cipher key around your game world. That way they'll have to face various combat encounters, social encounters, and skill challenges to get the different pieces of the cipher. Trolls sent me an email with this cool paper puzzle they made with a mask. First, pick a password, then poke a number of holes in your paper equal to the number of letters in your password. Trolls got that cool burnt effect by using a hot nail, but the much safer route is to wet down a pencil and turn it on the page until it makes a hole. Now line up your key sheet on top of another sheet and write your password. If you want to make it a bit trickier, flip the sheet over and add another word. Then flip it back to the correct way and tear the corners of the 2 sheets so they match. The last step is to fill the page with random letters. Now just give your players the note during one part of the adventure and then have them find the key in another part of the adventure. Alright, you better get out of here. Your players are going to be arriving any second. Actually wait, you probably have time to hit the subscribe button, right? Oh, you're getting a text. Someone canceled. No D&D tonight. Well, that's alright actually, because now you have time to watch this video here where I go over a bunch of things you can do to make any boss fight more fun and memorable. I appreciate you.